Hey, what's up, everyone? So, I'm assuming that most of you don't live under a rock, and because of that, you are very aware of the Dr. Disrespect ban that was just handed out, and reportedly, this time it is permanent. The weird thing about it is that there's been very, very vague stuff said, and so nothing is really known around it. Now, I'm going to start off with saying that in the time of the internet, I think that we all kind of jump to conclusions a little too quickly. Like there's a saying assume the worst, or I mean not assume the worst. Yeah, assume the worst but hope for the best. And I think that's kind of the best thing to do in these kind of situations cuz the fact that it was permanent, subs refunded and stuff like that obviously shows whatever they think happened is very serious, but at the same time, we know that Twitch is a little bit fishy, I guess is the best word to say, with their ban system, like how Tfue got banned without really any warning or anything, and it wasn't even something he was doing it was his chat. There's been stuff like that before, but I think the reason a lot of people are kind of assuming the worst in this time is because a couple of days ago, which once again, I'm sure most people are aware, but I feel like, here, let's hop into this. All right, so basically, 2 days ago, Twitch said that it's going to start investigating allegations of sexual harassment against streamers. And basically what they said was that they were going to be reviewing each case that has come to light as quickly as possible while ensuring appropriate due diligence as we assess these serious allegations. And so, it is fair why people are kind of jumping to conclusions in this situation. But one thing I would point out is kind of with the 24-hour news cycle and stuff like that, it kind of forces us to make conclusions as quick as possible. We're so used to getting the conclusion right away. And also I would just I'm just saying people jump to assume the worst and cancel. Obviously in this situation, no one's canceled, quote unquote, cancel Dr. Disrespect yet because no one really knows what happens. But I think based on his exit, I don't know if anyone saw this. Let's see.
Did.
So right
we'll
here.
get through this, okay? And
Hey, Christopher.
Dun dun dun! You better not taunt me. How dare you?
fuck.
You get to try out.
So yeah, it's quite interesting, obviously. And so I'm not going to really jump to any conclusions on what happened because, like I said, I'm going to personally sit back and wait for all of the details to come out before I jump to, before I do anything. And that's why I say assume the worst, hope for the best. Obviously, I know all the assumptions being made. I've made the assumptions myself. It's completely natural to make these assumptions. It's part of being human, I feel like. The other thing that I think is important, so if we go to this, the statement that they made about Dr. Disrespect is pretty fucking vague. It basically just says, as is our process, we take appropriate action when we have evidence that a streamer has acted in violation of our community guidelines or terms of service. These apply to all streamers, regardless of status or prominence in the community. And I think the interesting thing about that is that their community guidelines in terms of service have a lot in there. So maybe this is just something where Twitch has decided to, crack down on actually enforcing their terms of service and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe. Obviously, people have already made their assumptions and stuff like that. And that's fair. Like I said, it makes sense. People make assumptions and I completely understand why. Especially given the climate of things right now. So hope that it's one of these things where, like I said, Twitch's banning system is kind of weird and they just all of a sudden did this, but at the same time, there's obviously a possibility that it isn't. And so one thing I wanted to point out though is that I'm kind of into psychology and stuff like that. So I kind of wanted to talk about the whole thing about Dr. Disrespect being a character. Obviously we all know that his real name is Guy Beahm, and he's actually like, he does not have that mustache or that mullet or anything like that. That's all a character that he plays for his stream. And I think it's interesting to note that there's definitely instances of people playing characters and stuff like that where they almost get lost in the character. I think we always see Dr. Disrespect and we never see Guy Beahm, so we almost assume that Dr. Disrespect is a real person. And when you're streaming like 8 hours a day or whatever, I don't know what his streaming schedule necessarily is exactly, but when you're making streams like, 8 hours a day, several days a week, I think at some point you kind of get lost in the character. And I think that was kind of evident in the bathroom thing. I think Guy Beahm would have, known, hey, like, we shouldn't do this. But like I said, he's so wrapped up in the Dr. Disrespect character that he's almost like become Dr. Disrespect. And so the putting on and off of the costume, I think, becomes harder and harder every single time that he was streaming. And so obviously he plays this villain, this, 80s, 90s, whatever it is, villain. And so, like I said, I think just after year and doing these like 8+ hour streams several days a week, like, I think people kind of forget about that he's playing a character. And there's definitely like, I mean, you can look into it seems like he's kind of a method actor. So the best way, like, so there's like different ways of acting. Like, one way is like people just act, you know what I mean? But method acting is a range of training and rehearsal techniques that seek to encourage sincere and emotionally expressive performances as formulated by a number of different theater practitioners. So basically they like put themselves in a mindset, like whatever it may be, to actually kind of almost become the character. So like, I mean, right here you see one thing that says, is method acting dangerous? It proves a challenge for actors to come out of character after employing method acting techniques, sometimes altering their behavior, urging them to follow impulses that would be foreign to their own personal nature. This difficulty of returning to one's own personal behavior is the common concern linked with method acting. So I think this right here is exactly what happened to Dr. Disrespect. And the reason why I think this is even worse for Dr. Disrespect is because usually the people that employ this type of technique are actors. They're just doing this for one movie. Most movies take no more than like a year to make. So like, not even a year. It's usually a couple months of filming, and then it's all the editing and all that stuff that goes on. So they're only doing this for a short amount of time. Dr. Disrespect has been doing this for a long time. And like I said, has been doing it day after day, and not just on stream, but in person as well. These method actors, if Jared Leto was one of the ones that was a method actor and kind of got into to get into the Joker character. And, so obviously he got into method acting while he was acting. But then when you met Jared Leto, you were meeting Jared Leto. He didn't have the makeup of the Joker on and stuff like that. You weren't meeting the Joker. However, that's not the same with Dr. Disrespect. With Dr. Disrespect, when he went to, TwitchCon and all those different types of things, you met Dr. Disrespect. You didn't meet Guy Beahm. So like, you didn't go there and it wasn't Guy Beahm and people were like, I love the character you play. Like, they were saying, I love Dr. Disrespect. So that's where I think that it became even harder. And like I said, this talks about the dangers of method acting. Right here, it's like I said, it proves a challenge for actors to come out of character after employing method acting techniques. And like I said, he's not just method acting, he was method acting in the real world. I think that's what I'm like trying to urge, is that it wasn't just a character on screen. He was also portraying this character in person when he was meeting fans and stuff like that, which makes it even harder. And like it says, sometimes altering their behavior, urging them to follow impulses that would be foreign to their own personal nature. So like I said about the bathroom scene, I think Guy Beahm would have known and not done that. But because he was playing this Dr. Disrespect character so much, it altered his behavior, urging him to follow impulses that would be foreign to his own personal nature. So he followed the impulses of Dr. Disrespect, the character, rather than his own personal nature as Guy Beahm. So yeah, that's about it. I just wanted to hop on and give my thoughts about this because, like I said, I've been having a lot of thoughts about Guy Beahm and the difficulty he has taking on and off the character. I was having these thoughts before this happened, and now that this is happening, I'm thinking it even more. Obviously, depending on the severity of the allegations, it'll obviously blend the line with, was he actually a monster or was it him getting wrapped up in the character? So we'll see. Like I said, we need to just wait. Like I said, a lot of people like to jump to conclusions, and I think at this point, wait till all the facts come out. You don't need to make your conclusion and make it known on the internet that within 24 hours or anything like that. I think the 24-hour news cycle makes us feel like we do have to, with all the breaking news and stuff, that we have to react to it instantly. And you know what I mean? Like, not too long ago, you would watch the news and you would have a whole... So, like, if you watch the nighttime news, you would get that news, you would go to bed, you would watch the nighttime news, probably have a couple hours before bed, or maybe you were watching it in bed. Then you'd have your entire time to sleep. Then you're waking up, your whole morning routine. Then a drive to work before you even interacted with someone about the news that you just heard. So you had all that time to actually digest the information and figure out if it was even like where. Versus now with Twitter and all that, we not only are getting news everywhere, like not just at nighttime when we're watching what happened during the day. We're literally getting this news 24 hours a day. It's a 24 hours news cycle. And we have Twitter and different social medias where we can instantly hop on and have discourse about it before even we can process the information. So that's the one kind of piece of advice that I have, is to give your brain some time to process information before you react to it. And that applies to more than just this Dr. Disrespect situation. That just applies to a lot in the world. Yeah, like I said, I'm hoping for the best, but all we can really do at this point is wait.